Welcome back to the big story of the Bible. My name's Sarah. In the beginning, God created everything and it was good. And he created people in his image, and they were very good. But what happened? People didn't trust God and what he said. They saw something they wanted and they took it. They tried to decide for themselves what was good and not. They trusted what the evil snake said because it sounded good to them. But people are not really good at knowing what's good and bad. And their lack of trust in God broke their relationship with him and with each other. And they hid from God. But what did God do? He went looking for them and he told them the bad things that were going to happen to them because of what they had done. And he told them that they had to leave the garden. Why did they have to leave God's special presence? God did not want Adam and Eve to keep eating from the tree of life in the garden and keep living forever in a not trusting relationship with him and with each other. But he had a plan. What was his plan? He promised that one of Eve's great grandkids would be the snake crusher who would defeat sin and death and bring people back into God's special presence and eternal life again. Before God sent Adam and Eve out of the garden, what did he do for them to cover them? God sacrificed some animals and made clothes to cover over them. Living outside the garden, Adam and Eve had two sons. Who were they and what happened between them? They had Cain and Abel, and Cain was jealous of Abel and killed him. But before Cain killed Abel, what did God do? What did God say to Cain? God went to Cain and he sought him and found him and encouraged him and said, sin is crouching at your door, but you must rule over it. But Cain didn't rule over it. And after Abel was murdered, God drove Cain even further from his presence. The people came together to build a tower to bring glory to who? To themselves. They built the tower to bring glory to themselves, not to God. They were trying to be their own God again, choosing right and wrong for themselves and bringing glory and making a name for themselves. And everything is looking really, really bad. How are people ever going to be able to come back into God's presence? Will the snake crusher ever come? Today, we're going to see how God launches his rescue plan.
We're walking through the book of Genesis, which is made up of these two main parts.
And the first part begins in the garden, where we watch humanity spiral downward in self-destruction, and it ends in the Tower of Babel, where a rebellious humanity is scattered by God.
Then the second part of Genesis zooms in and focuses on just one family.
And right in the middle is this story that links the two parts of Genesis together and helps us understand what the whole book is all about.
So how do we get from the Tower of Babel to the story here in the middle?
Well, after the scattering at Babel, there's this genealogy, and it follows one of the tribes all the way down to this one guy named Abram.
You probably know him as Abraham.
And God starts making all these promises to Abraham, like he's going to bless him and give him a ton of kids. And he says that through him and his family, all the nations of the earth are now going to find God's blessing. So basically, God is trying to restore humanity back to the goodness of the garden and to his original intentions for the world. So it's like his rescue plan for humanity. And that's why the whole second half of Genesis is about this one family.
This is it. God is launching his rescue plan. He calls one man and his wife, Abraham and Sarah, or Abram and Sarai, and tells them to leave everything they know and go to an unknown random place that God is going to show them.
This is Abraham. When Abraham was younger, he was known as Abram. Abram lived in a place called Haran. One day, God told Abram, "Leave your home with your family and go to a place that I will show you." So Abram traveled with his wife Sarai, their nephew Lot, and the rest of their family.
God brought Abraham into the land of Canaan, but he was a wandering nomad, living in tents, herding sheep and goats, and kind of living there. He and his servants and people who worked for him didn't build permanent buildings or a town. They moved from place to place in that land. It was the land God had brought him to, but he didn't really have it, possess it, own it yet. But God made a covenant with Abraham. Last year in the big story of the Bible, we talked a lot about covenants. What is a covenant? A covenant is a special two-way promise between two people. Like a marriage is a covenant between a husband and wife. God makes a promise, a covenant with Abraham, and promises to bless him, and to specifically bless him in 3 different ways.
This is Abram, who will later be known as Abraham. When Abram was in the land called Canaan, God told him to look over the land as far as his eyes could see. God promised that the land would be blessed and that Abram would have many children. 25 years passed. Abram and Sarai were very old and still had no children. God appeared to Abram and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm your shield. A son is coming. Look at the heavens and count the stars. Someday you will have as many children as there are stars in the sky." Then God told Abram that his name would no longer be Abram, but it would be Abraham, which means father of many nations. God also told Abraham that Sarai's name would be changed to Sarah. God promised to bless Sarah and told Abraham that she would become pregnant and have a son. God made a covenant with Abraham that day. His covenant was a promise that Abraham would have many sons and they would be blessed.
What are the 3 things God will bless Abraham with? He's going to give him a huge family, a son, and then many, many, many great-great-grandchildren, and on and on and on. So they're a big nation. He will give them their own land to live in, and he will make them a blessing to the whole world, to all nations. Right from the beginning, God chooses one family, Abraham's, to be blessed. And he blesses them so that through them, all nations will be blessed. Right from the beginning, God's rescue plan is for all people. But what's the problem for Abraham? Why was it hard for him to believe God's promise? Which, by the way, he has to repeat and tell Abraham over and over and over again throughout the book of Genesis. Abraham and Sarah were super old, like older than your grandparents, older probably than your great-grandparents, and they still didn't have any kids. Abraham and Sarah wanted a kid so much, and just like Adam and Eve, they saw what they wanted and they took it. Instead of trusting God's way and God's time, they tried to make themselves a son by doing something wrong that hurt other people, that hurt Hagar and Ishmael very much, and broke a part of their family that would cause pain for generations and generations. So what do you think God did then? This is going to keep happening again and again. Abraham and his family will break their promise, will break their part of the covenant. They will not trust God, but God will keep being faithful to his promise. He will keep blessing them. And eventually, he blesses Abraham and Sarah with what they want more than anything, a son they name Isaac. And we're going to look at a really important moment in Abraham and Isaac's life. But before we do, have you ever wanted something so bad? Maybe a thing, like a thing, or maybe something you wanted to happen, or something you wanted to do, or someone you wanted to be liked by or loved by so badly that you would do anything to take it, to get it, whether it was good or bad. Leaders, you share first. When have you wanted something so badly you'd do anything, good or bad, to get it? So Isaac, the thing Abraham wanted more than anything, to have a son, to have a family, is born and grows. And then God talks to Abraham again. And God asks Abraham to do something. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham!" "Here I am," Abraham replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son. He is the one you love. Take Isaac, go to the place called Moriah, and give your son to me as a burnt offering. Sacrifice him on the mountain I will show you." Early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. He took 2 of his servants and his son Isaac with him. He cut enough wood for the burnt offering. Then he started out for the place God had shown him. On the 3rd day, Abraham saw the place a long way off, and he said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship. Then we will come back to you." Abraham had his son Isaac carry the wood for the burnt offering. He himself carried the fire and the knife. And the 2 of them walked on together. Then Isaac said to his father Abraham, "Father?" "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and the wood are here," Isaac said. "But where's the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the 2 of them walked on together, and they reached the place God had shown Abraham. And there Abraham built an altar. He arranged the wood on it, and he tied up his son Isaac. And Abraham placed him on top of the altar, on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand, and he picked up the knife to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven. He said, "Abraham, Abraham!" "Here I am," Abraham replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not harm him. Now I know that you would do anything for God. You have not held back from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked around, and there in the bush he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram, and he sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham named the place "The Lord Will Provide." To this day, people say it will be provided on the mountain of the Lord. Remember the sacrifices that Cain and Abel gave to God? God had asked Abraham for sacrifices many times, sheep and goats and cows. But this? What about God's promise to give him a great family? And why would God want Abraham to kill his son, to kill somebody? Many people at the time of Abraham worshiped many different gods that they thought were real. And many of them sacrificed their children to them in hopes of getting something they really wanted or needed, like rain for their food to grow or victory in war. And Abraham must have been thinking, "I thought you were different. Are you like all the other gods?" God was calling Abraham to give up the thing that Abraham wanted more than anything, and to give it, to trust it to God. Having a son, a family, was like a god to Abraham. It was the most important thing to him. And God is asking Abraham to trust him, to trust in God more than he trusts in having a son and a family. And God will call you to do the same in your life. Whatever that thing is that you want more than anything, that is the thing you think will make you happy, God will ask you to give that up, to give up control of it to him. Your leaders are going to share now what it would look like for them to give up control over the thing they want more than anything. But I'll give you one of my own examples first. One of the things I want more than anything are for the few people that I really love and care about most, to be proud of me, to think I'm a good person, and to think that I'm working hard to love and serve them. And sometimes I want that so much that I might bend the truth or manipulate or make wrong choices or show or sell things in a certain way so that they will know and see how hard I'm working to love them and serve them properly. And laying that down looks like me being totally honest, especially when I screw up. But by confessing I'm wrong, showing people how bad I actually am, I have to trust God that He will give them love to still love me, and trusting God that it actually only matters if He's proud of me and what He thinks of me. Even if I lose their love and esteem, it's His love and esteem that matter the most. Leaders, you're going to share some of your examples now. God provided a sacrifice. He wasn't like the other gods. He didn't want Abraham to kill Isaac. He wanted Isaac, a son, a family, not to be a god for Abraham. God provided a sacrifice. In that moment, He provided a ram in the place of Isaac. An animal was killed in the place of Isaac. Like God had killed animals to make clothes to cover over Adam and Eve. God never called any of His people in the whole Old Testament to sacrifice their children. And in fact, He spoke against the gods who demanded that sacrifice. But one day, an only son would be sacrificed in the same place, in this same area where Abraham offered Isaac. That's where Jerusalem was later built. Just like Isaac carried wood on his back, Jesus would carry His wooden cross. God would provide the sacrifice. He provided a ram for Abraham, and He provided Jesus for us all. Jesus is the great-grandson of Abraham. Jesus is the blessing to the whole world that would come through Abraham's family. These things we've talked about, that you want and would do anything for, that God is going to call you to lay down and let go of and give up. And you should give those things up. He will call you to do that so that you can really learn to trust Him. That's where real blessing and happiness is. But when you can't give them up, when, not if, you fail the test, remember that God has already provided the sacrifice for you. Your sacrifices, what you lay down and give up, aren't what will bring you back into God's presence. They aren't what will cover over for you. The true and better only Son, Jesus, already fully trusted His Father and laid down His life on the cross because He loved and trusted His Father and loved you. He is the true sacrifice that God provided that can bring you back into relationship with Him, whether you pass any of the tests or not. Jesus already passed the greatest test for you. Pray today and thank God for the sacrifice He made for you. And you can pray to ask Him help you lay down the things that you want more than you want Him. Today we're going to do a cool activity. There are so many ways that the story of Isaac's sacrifice point to, are like an image of, the story of Jesus and His sacrifice. And so you're going to have a handout where you're going to try and match up the pictures of the part of Isaac's story that points to the part of Jesus' story. On today's craft, you have a reminder that it's God who provides the sacrifice. See you next week.